Shit, I forgot to upload the fucking video.
That's all
Hi,
right.
everybody. Welcome to Talking with TalksALot,
Hey,
where I boomer right off the bat.
that's all right. We're good to go. We were
And of
having
course,
we were having a great talk
hell yeah.
backstage, so I'm sure it was my fault that you were distracted.
Oh no,
Yeah,
it just happens.
I managed to not get the work done that has been crushing me since the day started. So
Yeah.
when we're done here, that's what I got to go back to do, is actually do real work. And yeah, but I like I said, I'm glad I have the time to come by and do this.
Hell yeah. I'm glad you could be here, sir.
Monday's busy. Monday's busy. But in
Little
case
bit.
you guys don't know, I'm Culture Casino. I hang out with this guy once or twice a week anyway over on Comics Division's channel. And I have a channel, and that's it. Enough self-promotion. So there you go.
Yeah, you know, he's Culture Casino everywhere he goes, so type it into a search engine and find him.
It's pretty easy. Pretty easy.
So today's topic is underrated entertainment. Let's just start with some movies that we were talking about beforehand.
Yeah.
What do you feel is the most underrated movie that you would suggest more people to watch?
Man, I don't know. This is the problem, because I'm always going to lean towards comedies or action films. And we were talking backstage, but and you're only giving me one. That's unfair. But look, there was an incredible Andrew Dice Clay movie. I know immediately the audience is like, that's not possible. But no, it was called The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. And he is a rock and roll detective. And it is full of stars. Like, everybody's in this. Gilbert Gottfried's in this film. Guy you just mentioned him, the Vegas entertainer.
Let's see. We've got Andrew Dice Clay, Lauren
Wayne-
Hawley,
Wayne
Wayne
Newton.
Newton. Yeah, Wayne Newton.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, you have Lauren, she's smoking hot. Oh man, let me tell you,
Ed O'Neill.
yeah, Ed
Wow,
O'Neill is
okay.
great in it. Oh man, and again, this is back when entertainment it could be goofy and fun and everything else. This thing was not advertised properly when it got its theatrical release. At the time, Andrew Dice Clay had become embroiled in some controversy that it wasn't helping to support the film. But you have these stars, and this had an audience. It's kind of a cult classic, but I think that it's underappreciated for as just funny as it is. And there are so many quotable lines in the film that
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's Andrew Dice Clay, so
Yeah.
and it's pretty good. But yeah, he and the cool thing is Andrew Dice Clay does do some fun stuff, and he's got a favorite drink, the Zambuca milkshake.
Zambuca.
Yeah, which he lights on fire. So it's kind of cool.
Flaming milkshake.
Yeah, it was very cool. I liked the film. Ed O'Neill was great in it. Lauren was great in it. It was super. But man, we were talking about you can't hold me to one film, dude. I mean, it's just there's so many good pieces of undervalued entertainment, and if for entertainment's sake. And I think that's the difference now, is that I don't know about you, Corey, but when I'm looking for entertainment value now, we need 80s, early 90s goofball.
Oh yeah,
stuff. Because
we need the value that they produced for the entertainment industry and for like the audience, because I'm sick of being preached at. So,
but there's no budget. You don't need a budget to make people laugh, right? And you don't need special effects, to the extreme. You don't need CGI. You don't need any of that stuff. I mean, it's just, it's out there and it's good.
So real quick, let's take a minute to say hello to the chat. There's Vince Womack.
Hey,
Heidi
Vince.
ho to you as well. Omega Star Productions. Always happy to see you, sir.
Yeah.
Elegabilis says, just relax. Culture is going to do all the talking. Sir talks with ask the questions, nod and smile.
That's true.
This is true. Elegabilis, I still have to send you my number and stuff, but I will definitely have you on next week. It's going to be great.
Wow. That's going to be awesome. Can't wait for that show.
Then Sean Landrigan, pleasure to see you, sir.
Yeah.
Eligabilis. What was the disaster film where Bruce Willis stars in a quasi-musical Ocean's 11 meets Hell? Disaster of a film. Are you talking about like Hudson Hawk, where he sets his break-ins to show tunes?
I love that
I
film.
love that movie.
Hudson Hawk was again. I mean, again, these are the films we need nowadays. Would you like to swing on a star?
Yeah.
Carrying beams home in a job. We can't do it again because Danny Aiello is no longer with us. But
Right.
and there was some news that came out. There's a rumor that Bruce Willis is being fed his lines now because he is suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's or something.
Really?
I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's not good. Bruce Willis of all people.
You know, he is getting older. I mean,
this is true. I just always imagined him as the Rock of, you know, just like everything he does. He's just like the dude that's there. He's always healthy. He's always,
for the guy that, beats his body up the way he always has, he stays in surprisingly good shape.
He does. Like, I wish I was in half as good a shape as him.
Yeah. Yeah. I always pictured him as like our generation's Clint Eastwood, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow, dementia.
Well, it's a rumor.
Well, yeah, rumor. I know. It's just scary to think, like
I'm very close to being demented, so
all right.
It happens as you get older.
Yeah.
At least I can always say I had a stutter.
You had a stutter?
Always had a stutter.
Okay. I don't think I've ever noticed a stutter.
No. Sorry, that's an excuse right now for when people misspeak. Is no, he's always had a stutter.
Oh, I'll have to remember that because I mess up all the time. So
anyway, it's a joke, but no, I think Hudson Hawk was a great. That's another undervalued.
Yes, film. Absolutely. I loved that movie so much. So when it comes to TV, any particular series that you feel was underrated, maybe needed some more seasons?
I think not only do I think it needs more seasons, I think you could do a proper reboot of something like Mork and Mindy. I think that was incredible. Now the problem is you no longer have two of the three people who made that show go, right? With Williams having passed and Withers having passed, and I think Pam Dauber, if she hasn't passed, she's well past being Mindy. But I think you could take that same concept with some eclectic personality like a Robin Williams, and you could make that show again, and you really could.
Absolutely.
But something that should have got more run, I think, I like to stick within the science fiction area when it comes to this, because I think sci-fi on TV has been undervalued for a very long time. And especially since the Sci-Fi Network changed their name, they've become not so much
Sci-Fi.
They went from sci-fi to sci-fi. But I think Buck Rogers is the television show I would go about trying to remake, because you could do it from the ground up with the same types of characters. I don't think is Miss Gray still alive, one of the hottest chicks on the planet, because I saw her in a recent like Star Trek fan series project not that long ago, and she still was smoking hot.
Hello, Pasco Scenario. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Geiscar.
Vince Womack, Mork and Mindy with today's comedy that comes out of Hollywood. No thanks.
No. That's the point. Is if you were to bring back these things within their natural spirit, right? Then we'd be back where we had entertainment again. And believe me, I mean, there wasn't. Yeah. Yeah. She is so smoking hot. Oh my God. You want to pin somebody on a wall right next to Brooke Shields and, all the others that got pinned on people's walls. Pin her on the wall. Woo-hoo.
I recognize her from back in the day. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she was
And still, up until less than a few years ago, she was in a Star Trek fan series, and I was like, "Gosh, dang, girl, keeping it together." Yeah,
Well, when you got the time and money to dedicate to good living, clean living,
yeah.
I mean, it works,
But
right?
she was a great, and she still is. I don't know if she's still with us, but in that particular show, you had so much talent there, right? And I loved it, and you admitted that you hadn't seen it, which I'm
Yeah.
like,
I
wow.
haven't, and I need to. I need to catch up on all of the cult classic sci-fi shows and stuff. Buck Rogers, and I've honestly never watched Babylon 5 either. So I need to watch that.
Well, I mean, look, Gil Gerard was
Mhm.
always kind of compared, and he's the lead in Buck Rogers,
Right.
uh, or Gerard, depending upon how you want to say it. But he was always compared to the stunt guy from Fall Guy and all those other shows, right? And I always forget his name, but Lee Majors, right? Lee Majors.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, Lee Majors was incredible, right?
Who
And
didn't?
we should have realized things were wrong when we got a reboot of Bionic Woman before
Right.
we got a reboot of $6 Million Man.
Right. This is true because I loved the $6 Million Man.
Yeah, and
Like
Lee
even the
Majors was
sound
great at that.
effects, even the sound effects were
Those
just
are, you can still use them.
yep.
That's the cool thing, because again, you're touch, you have touchstones in comic culture, right? And in this that type of storytelling. So I'm always like, oh, you could go back to it. But Buck Rogers specifically, I think you'll find um the stories were great. They worked really hard on stuff. You got enough of the sci-fi and some goofy stuff. They had great set pieces, really really neat looking aliens, and this is going back way back in the day. I mean, this thing is old, so you could really brush up some of these special effects, and practical effects like the makeup effects and everything else. I would just absolutely, I don't know. I think you could remake that really well. I think you could do a good job.
Hell yeah. Like
Yeah.
let's get this.
There you
Buck
go.
Rogers.
That's, yeah, Tweaky. Beady beady beady. What's up, Buck? Look at that.
Pan back. is,
Yeah, look who's there. Look who's with him.
is that Gary Coleman?
Yeah.
Dude.
It was so good.
What is that?
Yeah, Hawkman.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There's lots of fun stuff in this show.
It looks like it. I'm gonna have to find this on a streaming service or something.
Yeah, it's out there. It's out there. And of course, all of this stuff, that I go back to, some of it's been remade, right?
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica got its, update from, a Star Trek alum, with Ronald D. Moore and his partner. They did a great job on that, even with politics crap in that, right? This is how amazing it is. They were able to put politics and religion together in a sci-fi thing and not piss everybody off.
Okay, so Vince Womack says don't watch season 2 of Buck Rogers.
Well, season 1 is best.
Okay, so did they just make some bad writing choices in the
Yeah,
second season?
yeah. Okay, in my little hand, I have the whole thing. Right, I have the
Hell
whole
yeah.
thing, and I haven't opened it because I don't have to, because I have it digitally. So,
Right.
but these are the physical copies, which I tell everybody to get. Right.
Yes, buy physical. 100%.
Yeah. And the complete series is worth your time. There's many hours of viewing here, almost 2,000 minutes of stuff, and lots of great special features in that particular collection. There's a whole disc of special features. So.
Hell yeah.
But I'm like, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just saying hello, Germ 404.
Oh.
I hope your son has a good dentist visit, and glad you could stop by. Thank you for the well wishes.
Thank you.
And Small Time Republic. Good to
What
see
you talking about, Willis?
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me tell you, Gary Coleman was always he was in a lot of shows. Think about it.
He was.
The kid bounced around. He was not only in the show he was in, Different Strokes. He was in all kinds of other shows from that period of time. And he always brought something to, whatever the show was. Here's a show that they should have been able to reboot and then they destroyed it. Fantasy Island. Fantasy Island,
Oh,
it should have been something that you could have brought back as well. But
yeah.
the original is not. I mean, it's an incredible concept. It's a great idea, and again, it speaks to what you need in entertainment, which is escapism.
Yep.
Right? You need to be able to step away from everything.
Yeah, this is true. And I've actually seen quite a few debates recently on whether escapism is actually important. And as a psychologist, I'm like, you guys are retarded if you don't think it is. Hello, Lasso. I'm so glad you can make it.
Hi, Trina.
But I've heard a lot of what I will call lowbrow individuals saying that escapism is like terrible for human psyche. And, they need to focus on their problems and deal with them all the time in real life and this and that and the other thing. And every time I look at them and I'm like, or I keyboard warrior it out. And what?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just break down, the importance of escapism and being able to actually disconnect in order to process things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if we're constantly bombarded.
Well, and that's the problem. I mean, especially in the modern world when, you are this far away from everything.
Mm-hmm.
You are this far away from everything. Yeah. And that's not good. It's not good for you, me, anybody. Right. And escapism is incredibly important. If anybody who spends all of their time focusing on their problems, those are miserable C words.
Miserable. Yeah,
those are miserable people. And you can usually find them. They're playing. Yeah, you should write that script for tonight, Elagabalus.
Seriously, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, but it's but they're usually on Twitter telling you just how bad you are. Everybody is projecting right now in a way that, if they were able to step away outside of, all of this negativity that they are swimming in constantly, and I would say drowning in, but that's just, I'm a happier person than a lot of people think I am, because obviously when I'm on here, if I'm not talking about something fun or funny, I can break down, some of the biggest problems that we have. I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people watch Yelling, like they're going to watch tonight with comics. And, we're talking about, some hardships and some outright, nefarious behaviors and by entities as large as the government. But at the end of the day, I'm more likely to find fun in Ford Fairlane or in, Mork and Mindy or Buck Rogers or, whatever, because I can step outside of the weight of the world and get a refresh, a recharge. I mean, I have no desire to dwell in misery.
Right.
And anybody who does, I mean, you should be seeing some help.
Yeah.
And good help, not like, dime store help, because let me tell you, there's a lot of dime store help out there.
There is. Yeah.
When they're giving away degrees and stuff that these people don't deserve. And they've been doing it for a long time. And that's scary.
This is true. Right. This is true. And I feel like a big part of that is the prevalence, to use a buzzword, is FOMO, the fear of missing out, because so many people have become so connected through their phones and stuff that they feel like the drama and all of that shit is their lives now. And it's ridiculous. Low spec Linux laptop. Good to see you, sir. Or lady. I can't remember. My bad. I'm bad with stuff.
Oh, that's a dude.
Okay.
Yeah,
hello,
Mr.
sir.
Pearson. Yeah.
Sorry for misgendering you multiple times.
No,
not really, but
he's cool. He's cool.
It's cool.
Oh man.
So, when it comes to music, first off, who's your favorite music artist? Like, if you could just choose someone to listen to for the rest of your life, like
Chopin.
Chopin, so good. I'm a Schubert guy myself, but
Yeah. Yeah.
love me some Chopin.
Yeah.
Hello, Toxic Man Flu.
I don't know what it is. If you step towards what we would consider modern
Mm-hmm.
music, um, I could probably listen to all of the Moody Blues all the time. Um, Something about that, speaks to the musicality, the storytelling, all of that. To me, this is one of the problems with modern music. They stop telling stories,
Right.
right? I
Yep.
mean, outside of some bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers and Sublime and a few others, you don't get stories and stuff. It's just, flip it over and let me, see that from the back. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that's not really, that's not, accomplishing anything, and it's just, versus the stuff that you got out of Sublime, Kiedis talking about his drug addiction and being under the bridge, right? That song is, out of, Chili Peppers. I mean, and of course they made some goofy pop rock shit too. What I got, you got to get it, put it in you,
Yeah.
but storytelling in music's important. Moody Blues did that really well. ELO did that really well. The Beatles to some extent. The Who. I mean, they wrote a freaking rock album that a rock opera that became an incredible album. With
Hell
Tommy.
yeah.
You have. But I think we've largely been in a position where we lost that. Even though great hip hop artists, rappers, and such, they used to tell stories, and they would
Yep.
they would try to bring the street to their listeners. And now it's, I got more money than you, I got more money
Yeah.
than you, I get more bitches than you. Does that sound like somebody that's on YouTube right now? Anyway, it's
A
just
little bit.
yeah, and so that's why like someone like Tom McDonald, right? That dude's spitting truth, in his raps, right? And he's getting, he's the only one I think that's doing a good job of that in independent rap. So, but
Yeah.
it's really strange. Yeah, I love Tchaikovsky. Yeah, El Agablis are throwing them all out there. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hello, Commander Ed Straker of Shadow.
Quadrophenia, absolutely. Yeah, no, I listen to so much stuff, but I like I said, I mean, like I said, I mean, if I had to listen to one thing, it would definitely be classical music
Yeah.
because it believe it or not, and no matter how many studies they've done on this, if you are listening to classical music, you are essentially lifting your intellect. You're
Yep.
lifting your understanding of everything else. You lift your focus. You change your state of well-being. Do you know
It's true.
this? It's like if I reach and hug somebody for 20 seconds, it immediately changes their sense of well-being. And it's because it's
Yeah.
not just because of the hug itself. There's a neurochemical stuff that goes on at that moment, and and the reason it's 20 seconds because that's the point at which all of those things, is it norepinephrine? I'm trying to think of what all the releases are. I know you get endorphins and some other things like that happen
Yeah.
with a hug.
A 20-second hug can lower blood
Yeah,
pressure, can
yeah,
help with heart rate. It can
yeah,
change
yeah,
a person's day.
yeah,
Honestly, it can.
yeah. And it's
Brightest day. Christian fandom geek.
hey, what's
Pleasure
up,
to see
man?
you, sir.
Yeah, all the way from the UK. But no, I I put, like I said, I put my arms around people for a reason, and if it's a longer hug than you're comfortable with, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to change your day and I'm trying to change mine. And at the same time, music is a mental hug because it can do exactly all the same things we just talked about, especially
Yep.
classical music.
All right. So I got a Ko-Fi
Oh,
from Toxic Man Flu.
hey, TMF.
He says, "Hail, Sir Tox and Culture Casino. The interview with Toxic Man Flu was better, but it's still great. But this is still great. 8.5 out of 10.
I love you, Tox. You're probably not wrong.
That's hilarious. I love Toxic Man Flu.
Oh, Count Basie. Oh, wow. No, I love all those too. Miles Davis. Oh man, I have the complete Miles Davis.
Dude, Buddy Rich.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I used to listen to big band stuff sometimes. I'd be rolling down the road in my giant one of my giant ass trucks, and You know, right now, even, you know, the big one I've got, I could roll down the road in that with the, you know, the massive subwoofers pounding away, listening to big band, and people were looking at me like I'm a lunatic. You know, but,
Yeah, I feel that. I get those looks while I'm walking down the street singing.
yeah. Wow.
Because I just sing it. I'm just blast it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
JT Gunter, glad you could make it. It's a nice hat. So I have been working on a new song.
Oh, I heard. Yeah. How's that going?
I got the newest version. Would you like to preview it?
Sure. Why not? Let's give them a preview. Ooh.
All right.
You're massive.
Let me know if this is too loud. I don't. Did I share the audio on this?
I don't know.
Let's find out.
I hear nothing.
That figures. Piece of crap. Stop sharing, try again. And the boomers continue.
The frog
There it is.
Thank you, Longables.
Okay. Now we try this again.
Sounds like Radar Love a little.
Got a devil inside and broken wings. I go black heart, bleeding on my sleeve, blood on my hands and dirt on my knees. Lord, the Lord would set me free. Went through hell and felt the flame. Judged by the counsel of the man with no name. Filled my cup with hate and pain. Sold my soul and fell from grace. Heaven seemed so far away. 100 more miles as the demon flies. Till I see salvation tonight. 100 more miles as the demon flies. Make my
All right.
Mm.
That's the latest version that I recorded. It's not quite done yet, but I'm working on it.
Yeah. I like the lyrics.
Thank you.
I think you're doing a fine job there. I like the musicality of it all. You can probably dance to it, and there's a little interruption there. There's dances interruptus there when it changes tempo, but yeah. I mean, you know, you could be on American Bandstand.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I think it's good. I'm just teasing you.
Thank you. Yeah, that song was actually inspired while I was watching the Keanu Reeves Constantine.
Oh, I love that film.
When he's actually in hell and he's like walking through the streets and shit a little bit, and I'm like, that song popped out because of that. So I'm like, hell yeah. You got to find inspiration wherever you can, people, because if it sounds good to you, release it. If it's shit afterwards, people will let you know.
Yeah, it's true. Oh man!
And again, underrated movie. I agree.
Yeah.
I think Constantine was a fantastic movie.
I loved it. I loved that one, and I loved Dogma. And I mean, there were a lot that challenged the dogma of individual religions. But I felt like Constantine is that one film like you're like, why didn't this get wider play? Why isn't there a bigger fan base for this? Because Keanu delivered, and it was good. You know, and the devil's like, nah, I'm not gonna let you go.
Right? Yeah, I loved that part where he pulls the cancer out of him. I'm just like, man. See, those are the kinds of movies that I wish, you know, Keanu Reeves would go back to making personally, because
I don't know, John Wick is freaking awesome.
John Wick is amazing. That's like the greatest new movies that he's coming out. But it's like, I saw Siberia and Knock Knock and one other movie that were just garbage with him in it that came out in the last few years. And it makes me wonder sometimes, like, does he actually turn down roles? Or is he kind of Nicolas Caging it, where he's just taking whatever he can get at this point?
Well, okay. So there's some interesting things about Keanu. He's a new He's a new guy. He's a new philanthropist. He's a new version of an actor. He takes a great deal of the salary that he earns and gives it away. He doesn't. It's one of the things that people don't know about him. And I mean, he's also real. He's really who he purports to be. He's one of the few genuine actors you're going to find out there. He is in public as he is, at home.
Yeah.
And so he's always training his martial arts. He's always riding his motorcycles. He's always, and he's always staying in shape, and he's constantly training, firearms training. So, for
that
him,
man is a fucking wizard with a gun, bro.
it's a sense of, for him, it's like this sense of Zen. I can see that, right? I mean, it comes across, he's perfectly, comfortable in all those things. Some of that could be argued because of his personal loss in his life, and everything else around that.
Mm-hmm.
But, he always feels like, he's there, he's present for whatever it is he's doing. And you just don't see that. You don't see that authenticity anymore.
Ensign Ricky says Scott Bakula is also a pretty straight Hollywood shooter.
Yeah, and that's another reason why he isn't getting the reboot part in
Quantum Leap.
Yeah, Quantum Leap.
Dude, I love Scott Bakula in that. Like that was one of the few shows from back in the day that I watched all the way through multiple times. Like I love that. And his brain is escaping me right now, but his assistant Al, the guy that always just popped up all digitally and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Who was that? He was always one of my favorite supporting roles.
Yeah. The actor if you wouldn't ask me, he just passed away not that long ago.
I remember that.
Yeah. Why am I every time somebody asks me that his name, it always slips out of my brain. I don't know why.
Dean Stockwell. Yes.
Stockwell.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dean Stockwell was awesome. I don't remember any roles that he did poorly.
No, he was even in the reboot of Battlestar Galactica.
Was he?
Yeah, in the later seasons. Yeah, he played believe it or not, the preacher. The preacher Cylon in that show. You got to watch it. If you haven't, it sounds like you haven't watched a lot of this stuff, dude.
Not a lot of the shows and stuff. No, and there's a few of the movies that people would be disappointed in me not seeing too.
I'm not gonna make you accountable for this. It's funny because I just saw this movie. We just were talking about it a little while ago before we got going. And it's one of those that makes me laugh, and it's completely goofy, and it has actually a consistent actress in it with The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, and that is the film Down Periscope with Kelsey Grammer.
Yes, that was one of the best comedy movies. I have just fond memories of that entire movie with Kelsey Grammer, and I'm so bad with names.
Lauren Holly.
Yeah,
she's Lieutenant Lake in that film, and man, there's stuff in that you could not do today.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure. They shrunk her uniform, which really accentuated her build.
Build. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So had Rob Schneider, William H. Macy,
Harry Dean Stanton, Bruce Dern, William H. Macy, Ken Hudson.
Dwayne Martin was hilarious in this movie too. As Jackson, always trying to make sure nobody gets in trouble.
Harlan Williams was in a ton of that stuff from way back when. Yeah. The biggest problem was Patton Oswalt was in it, I think.
Yeah, dude. That guy caught me by surprise. I didn't actually expect him to be as crazy as he is. When I got on Twitter and discovered him, it was like, oh my goodness. I
bet you there's a name on there you didn't expect.
Which one?
Well, I mean, Rob Schneider, but his character.
I don't remember him being in the movie. As weird as that is, I don't remember Rob Schneider's character.
He was always grease covered and everything else, and he and the radio guy were Like, and then you had the cook on the sub and everything else. It was so good.
The one person I was surprised wasn't in that one was because he was in everything around that time was French Stewart, honestly, because he did what was the other Navy movie that he was in? McHale's Navy, I think he was in that one, right?
Right.
And like he was all over the place. It seems like a role they probably could, like a movie they could have put him in somewhere. I love French Stewart as an actor. I don't know how he is as a person, but
well, isn't that the best when you don't know that?
mm-hmm.
See, this is the problem with modern Hollywood. It's better to not it's better to not reveal yourself to the public, right? You know, it's one of the reasons why I think well, the audience in our field, in our field of work here on YouTube and Rumble and Odyssey and all these digital platforms requires authenticity, you know, to connect with an audience, right? When it comes to films, you want to associate them with the characters that they play.
Yep.
You don't want to associate them as a, you know, this not fantasy person, right? That isn't capable of morphing into whatever. Once you reveal it, you know, how much of a big piece of shit you are, or, you know, how, you know, whatever element of your personality that's off-putting, you've now destroyed your audience. Or maybe I'm wrong.
The one who surprised me the most, as far as people being surprised that he was a douchebag, is Chris Evans. Like, when you look at everything leading up to Captain America, you're like, this guy kind of comes across as a douchebag, even in his roles. And then he does Captain America, and everybody forgets that he's like Varsity Blues kind of guy. You know?
He was okay. So one of the films I think is underrated, we didn't get to yet, which is Scott Pilgrim, right? Great adaptation of the comic, right? You know, graphic novel, whatever you want to call it, right? It was great adaptation, even though it wasn't true. It was still within the framework and the spirit and the love, and it was very well done. And this features actors that we no longer like. You know,
quite a few of them actually.
Is his name Michael Cera? I don't redheaded kid. I always confuse
Michael
him.
Cera.
Yeah. And you have Brie Larson in that. She plays Envy Adams, right? Most people forget Envy Adams is Brie Larson, and she was man, she was good in that, right? And she showed off a lot of talent that she didn't have apparently. And then you have here we go. Thank you, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, smoking.
She's pretty attractive.
Yeah. Like, you know, Allison Pill is in this, and when she was really good as Kim.
Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah.
Why don't I remember that guy? Oh, okay. The mustache threw me off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I like the idea of the show. I really, the film. And again, I felt like it was really, really well done. Mary Elizabeth Winstead did a great job. I think she's also an underutilized actress, but almost everybody in there is basically revealed themselves to be not tremendous, which is disappointing. Maintaining an air of mystery is a good thing when you're going to be an actor. You know, it would be hard for me to go back into any field that would rely on performance, because now that I've been out here the way I have been, you know, there are going to be parts of the audience that aren't interested in me because because I've crapped all over the narrative, you know, and that's you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And Kurt Russell, JT Gunter just did exactly in the chat, my man. Kurt Russell is a prime example. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to STF, you.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to, because that's what we're supposed to do, you know. And he even educated Goldie when he said that, right? Goldie was like, flabbergasted that he said, we shouldn't be talking about our political shit. We're actors, you know. I mean,
that's actually one of the.
Go ahead.
That's one of the things that worries me about trying to become an actor is how I'm starting out right now is I'm putting all of me out front for
Yeah,
everybody to see,
yeah.
and like a lot of counterparts that I have in voice acting
They
and
hide.
yeah, well, they tell me that I shouldn't be doing this stuff, that
Mhm.
I shouldn't be out here talking like I am, that I shouldn't be saying the things that I do, and picking sides, even though I'm picking the side of ration and actual
Real
humanity. But
reason. Yeah.
uh like a lot of them are telling me not to do this, like you shouldn't be on YouTube, you shouldn't have opinions on pop culture and media, and I'm like, why? Like at this point, if people don't accept me as an actor, I still have YouTube and alternative platforms that I can entertain people with, so it's not a huge deal if I don't ever make it to Hollywood.
But here's the thing. I mean, is this is the problem that I have now, and this is we need to readjust our thinking. I don't care about Hollywood anymore. An industry that I talk about on a daily basis and all of that, I can cover what's happening in Hollywood. I can talk about, actors' performances, actresses' performances and stuff. I can talk about film. I can talk better or more. I can talk more deeply about films that were, from 15 years or more ago, because there's not a lot of depth to modern entertainment. Let's be fair,
No.
which means it has the cultural relevance of a fucking popsicle, because you can't go back and rewatch something, right? The popsicle's
Right.
melted, it's a fucking sticky mess on the floor, and that's just what happens nowadays. And
I'm gonna highlight this one. JT
mm,
Gunter says, "Don't ever stop. More people will follow you because you are genuine."
and I agree with that. I agree
I
with that.
won't.
But like, getting back to my main,
Yeah.
my topic sentence there. Um, don't worry about them anymore. The independent movement will do what it did 45 years ago and replace Hollywood as it is, and it will get rolled into Hollywood, and all of this myopic thinking, will disappear. Because if it doesn't, you'll have a rise of a new entertainment industry that maybe won't be called Hollywood. Maybe it'll be called something else. And would that be so bad? See, these are all these questions. Like, if you want to be like one of the most corrupt industries ever is music.
Yeah.
And it is so corrupted that the artists are always calling out the industry itself. Always, it
Hmm.
never stops, and that's been happening since the 50s. Where it's like, the recording labels literally control all these artists to the point
Yep.
where you know they're stifled, and until you're a mega massive giant entity,
Right.
you really don't have control over your own fate or even your own music. And now, with all of these 3,000-year-old self-made musicians, like Bruce Springsteen and
Neil Young.
Neil Young and Joni Mitchell and shit like that.
Right.
It's like, you don't even know your music anymore. You sold your fucking catalog to BMG or whoever. And gosh, yeah, don't stop selling your stuff to Bertelsmann, guys. They're freaking oligarchy asshats. But anyway, Universal Media Group, all of these companies, right? UMG, all of these entities. It's
Yeah.
I mean, you sold out twice. That's the weird thing. You already sold out. Now you've sold out a second time, and then you sold your soul to live inside a political machine, which is, again, why I think you're going to see the rise of the independent movement across the board. We've already seen it in music, right?
Yep.
I mean, we know people like personally that have charted shit, right?
Well, yeah. Christy Mayer.
Yeah.
Top played right now.
Yeah.
So.
Dan Vask. You have stuff charting, right? You have people that are putting together web series and entertaining people now. You have people that are working on fan films, right? I mean, George Mollo is in the process of producing a fan film. I am working on a not quite full length feature horror film. So you have.
I can't wait to see that.
No, yeah. I have now reached the point where I'm gonna turn it over to either Cameron or Script Doctor and say, tell me I'm a terrible writer, and then fix this, please. But that's the, I mean, that's the future, right? And so I'm never going to stop doing this. I don't think, until I'm just too old, or like, my marbles are gone or whatnot. For as long as I'm allowed to be either on YouTube or Rumble or Odyssey or Minds or Twitter or Getter or whatever else comes down the pipe, I'm still going to keep doing it. I'm even trying to figure the BitChute thing out, which I don't even care.
Yeah.
But it's just, I want to do all those things, right? And I launched my Gilded server thing, which is, I'm building up a community, so everybody's invited to hang out there.
Hell yeah, I need to get in on that.
Yeah, and it helps us interact in a way that isn't going to get knocked down like we could in Discord or in other platforms. It's just another place to go find us, and that's going to help build the new industries. I think is intercommunication between all of us, and it requires everybody out there. Those of you who are in the audience, and by the way, my chat monitor is down here now. I actually have a portable desktop monitor that I've been using to make sure that I can see the chat. And but it's up to everybody in the chat, to be honest with you, to support the independent movement, whatever element it is. I mean, if you want to support independent comics, do that. I back several independent comic books. I mean, lots of them. More than a dozen at this point. I'm continuing to back the things I think are good. You back the independent musicians. We've got several of them. I mean, I just talked about Tom McDonald, the rapper. He's amazing. And Bryson's out there. There's a lot of them. Go ahead.
Have you seen the independent comic? I think it's called El Grudo. With the like killer baboon looking guy. And dude,
who is it?
I can't remember his name.
I mean, I'm backing right now a new one that Tug launched is called The Hunt for the Littlest Umbrella. That one that one just came out, or at least is available to crowdfund, I should say.
Yeah.
And of course, obviously, our good friend Katie Miriam Noah, with Bonds 2, right? Mm-hmm. That book's going to be coming out. Jeff Hicks has launched his second comic book right after Stealing Solo.
Nice.
It's I forget the title of his new book. Somebody help me out. But you've got all of this, right? You've got all of these different independent things, and you have the stories that people are coming up with on the daily basis. Like I said, if I can get my horror film out there in the world, I'm going to have as many people as I know in it because I don't have to pay them very much or at all.
Right.
Like I will provide, ham sandwich.
Dude, food is the one way to guarantee to get me to show up.
Yeah. Okay. And you might get pizza, on the wrap night, but yeah.
Pizza.
And I intend to stick this film together in 12 days. So it's going to be an intense cycle of shooting. I already know it. I mean, it's, and I've got the location, or I can afford to have the location for that long. So that's kind of the way I'm going about it. But
hell yeah,
I want this to work. All of the effect shots are going to be done actually here, in one of the garages, because I have a full wall green screen in one of the garages and a lighting rig set up already. So
nice.
But yeah, I'm weird.
That's awesome. If my brother-in-law's shit wasn't in my garage, I would totally go for something like that.
Well, I was going to start doing it. One of the reasons I set it up the way I did, and I can go, I can get it going at any time, is because I want to start doing some puppet stuff, right? To try to do our own, fellowship version of the Muppets, only not, right?
Yeah.
So we have a lot of very talented puppeteers, and I think a variety show similar to what the Muppets did, where people interact on a set with puppets, right? And it's much easier to do nowadays because you don't have to do build-ups, right? Everything can be done with green screens, so you don't have to worry about build-ups anymore. And so you're not working 6 feet or in this case, I guess maybe 4 feet below a stage, where you have an actual full-size person, on a different platform working. So it's different now. You can work that way. So there's a lot to it, and we need to swat a bot, kids.
Yeah.
But Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I went off on a tangent. I tend to do that. So, but, you
You're
got
good, bro. I love your tangents.
yeah. But like I said, I mean, that's my thought is it's the independents. We can replace Hollywood easily. They're pissed at
Yep.
us right now. They watch us. This is the thing. You know, you may be a smaller YouTube entity, but if you get any traction whatsoever, I assure you, they will pay attention to what you're saying because they don't want to hear it, and they steal from people. I mean, they
Oh,
steal all the time.
yeah.
So,
It's
yeah,
been one of the biggest moral issues I've seen with entertainment is not just plagiarism, but outright theft.
yeah,
You know, and it's always bugged me because when I was going through my college for my psychology and stuff, like that was the one thing that they drilled into your head at all times is you have to be original in your writing. And I'm like, if that applies to psychology, then why not entertainment on an ethical, guideline standing?
yeah. Hey, thanks for being here, Sean. And Vince, you're
Yes, good
right.
to see you.
Adult Pretender is correct. Yeah.
Yes.
But I don't know. But you're right. I mean, plagiarism, outright theft, all of those things. There's actually a writing axiom, great writers are inspired by other, or good writers are inspired by others, but great writers steal outright, or something similar to that.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, right.
But like I said, I mean, I can create because I still possess imagination, which I think is the thing that is missing in Hollywood now. I don't know if you agree with that, but I've still
I do.
possessed imagination.
Mhm.
So it's easy for me to create on the fly. Like we could be talking right now, and just like at an improv, somebody can call out, a genre, and then we can work through it. And we can workshop. You and I can workshop a show into existence very easily.
Yeah.
It's not, if you possess an imagination, it's not that hard to do.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And well, is it a lack of imagination on Hollywood's part, or is it more of a forced suppression of imagination?
Well, it would be a self-enforced because look, there is no. Okay, so when you want to take creativity out of anything, you involve a whole lot of people
Yeah.
that don't share a common vision. And in Hollywood, that's what happens. It's why you'll hear this conversation from me and from Midnight's Edge, and probably from Gary and a few others. It is manufacturing something by committee. That's what it is. We talk about this all the time. So you cannot create entertainment by committee. You end up with too many competing visions. So there's no cohesion in your storytelling. Your character doesn't come together. The problem is now, instead of the character being, something that is a utility to the story, now it's serviced, or it's overburdened with utilities of its own. We're constantly being subjected to the overt manner in which these characters are checking boxes, and they tell you about their checked boxes. Instead of show don't tell, it's now all tell. Yep. Which is one of the reasons why when Gary calls out all the scenes where people are sitting around a table talking about their feelings, who fucking cares?
Yeah, for sure.
It's the best table scenes that you're ever going to find in films are going to be in like something like Alien, right? When they're sitting around the table, or that's a good scene around a table. It's like where, and you bring up you accost characters for their immutables, right? Just in the spirit of good fun, and it becomes part of the thing. And believe me, everybody is accepting of everybody at that table by the end of that conversation. That's the conversation to have.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
But what you're doing, talking about, well, I identify as a triplanetary being with 4 penises and 2 buttholes. That is, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, who cares? How did that help me get to where I'm going with the story? Unless somehow those 4 penises are going to be a major plot point, I don't care.
Yeah, I feel that way about sexuality in general in media. It's
But that's
like,
their obsession.
yeah, it really is. It really is. And like a lot of that came, in my opinion, from the fact that they hypersexualized everything else. And instead of just dropping it, they got to hypersexualize new stuff as well. And I think they could do without. Honestly, I like the movies that don't have any type of like pointless nudity in them. Like when I was watching Roadhouse the first time, going through a movie, just boom, and then they're in the car chase, and this lady just randomly sits up and there's boobs. I'm like, was that necessary during a car chase? I don't think it was. But I mean, you can call me a prude if you want, but I don't really think that sex has a lot of place in like action movies or sci-fi or personally.
Well, okay, so I think sometimes nudity's like key story point because it explains something and how something was accomplished.
Sometimes.
For example, remember Terminator, right?
Mhm.
Where he shows up, Schwarzenegger's naked.
Yep.
Well, there's a reason for that. You can't get him there otherwise because you can't take anything other than his biologics, right?
Right.
The clothing and everything around him aren't going to make it there.
See, in situations like that, it's understandable to have the nudity
Mhm.
because it explains something. But in a lot of the time these days, it's just thrown in there for no reason.
Yeah.
Like they're just all like, "Hey, here's a random line of chicks that are topless." Ta-da!
Yeah.
For no,
Now, I'll give you one. Here's one. Did you ever see the whole 9 yards?
yes.
Okay, so
Wait,
what's
the
her
first
name?
one or the new one?
The first one.
The first one, yes.
What's her name? Amanda Pete, right? I think that's her name.
Mhm.
She flashes her boobs out the window to distract people.
Right.
Now, while that is somewhat gratuitous, it's actually part of the plot because she's distracting somebody.
It serves a purpose.
Yeah, and it essentially outlines for all of us that for most humans,
Yeah, you're not wrong.
they're a little distraction, but
A little bit.
but I don't know. It's we're in a weird world. We're in a weird world, and I know you only try to go an hour, and we're about pushing it, but
Yeah.
I had a great time. We didn't get to talk about one of my other fun films, guys. Go see Small Soldiers. It's a quasi animated film with a lot of great voice acting by at the time 80s and 90s stars. So it's good stuff. And
that was a great movie.
Yeah.
Small Soldiers, not to be confused with Toy Soldiers.
Yeah.
Go watch that movie for sure.
Oh yeah, Toy Soldiers different. No, yeah. Very
different. Yeah.
Very different.
All right, but we're gonna call it. Make sure you're subscribed to Culture Casino. Not that I have to tell you that, but catch us tonight on Yelling at Parked Cars. Thursday with Thursday Night Throwdown. Don't know if you're gonna make that or not, Culture, because you're traveling, but he's gonna.
Thursday. I should be. Yeah. I should make Thursday Throwdown. I may be live in somebody's studio in San Antonio, Texas. So who knows? Either that or I'm taking my studio in a bag with me. So hopefully the laptop is powerful enough to keep everything, keep the lights on. But we'll see. In the private chat, I put my Gilded server, and I'm going to put it in the main chat as well. Check out my Gilded. Thanks for having me on. I've always loved being here, Corey. It's a good time. I'm glad that you had me back. I wasn't anticipating it, and
I'm happy to have you back anytime.
I'm here when you need me. So, but Gilded, the Gilded thing is in the chat, folks. And if you want to join, you can fill out the application if it's required. But I'm approving everybody, so it doesn't even matter. And that's pretty much it. So,
all right.
Thanks. I really had a good time. Do you have an
Me too.
outro at least?
I do. That one I never take down. So yes, I do have that one. All right, guys. We'll catch you later, and we'll see you later. I just said that twice. Redundancy.
Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed the show, then hit that like button, subscribe, and make sure to tell your friends to come by next week for more fun. This is Talking with TalksALot.